All right, hey, welcome back to another episode of the SledderCast podcast, bright and early here in North Branch, Minnesota, also known as Heyday Stomping Grounds.
Heck yeah.
We've got Kyle Saxton here. This one's been in the works for a while. I actually had to get permission for our name because we kind of spun off of your original podcast, SledCast, and you were gracious enough to give us a thumbs up on that name. I think we already had like all of the logo and stuff created, so it would have been a pain to have to redo all that. So I appreciate you giving the thumbs up, man.
I'm pumped to hear you guys putting out more content and giving the people something to listen to.
Yeah.
That's sled related. It's awesome.
I know.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, and we even got you on the thumbnail.
Yeah.
And the thumbnail's behind us now this year. And we should have done 3 walls on this thing, but we'll play with the sun. The sun, I think, is over there, so we should be good for the episode. But
heck yeah.
But this is Friday at Heydays. So Kyle, you're doing maybe just give us a kind of a quick intro of what you got planned today and this weekend here at Heydays.
Yeah. So riding the freestyle this weekend. Today is pretty much setting up ramps, getting the bag all dialed in. Just getting the freestyle pit all set up, ready to go, getting sleds ready. And then we're going to do a practice sesh tonight from like 5 to 7.
There we go.
Yep, get some practice in, and then 2 shows a day this weekend. So it's about 11:45 and about 3 each day.
Each day.
Yep, riding freestyle. So.
Attaboy. And you've got quite the setup at your house.
Yeah. So
I've been following. So
I set that up about 2 years ago, and it goes over the driveway. So you come in off the road. I'm in kind of a neighborhood, and you come in off the road. You drop into the run in, hit the ramp, go over the driveway, and then I built a big dirt mound. I buried a Connex and then got a bag jump topper sheet for it, and land on that, ride back out, hit the road, cruise back over on the asphalt, and drop in for another hit. It's pretty awesome right out the shop door. So
yeah, what do your neighbors think? Are they like, do they line up and watch the practice sessions? Or are they like
most of them are always out there watching?
They're pretty cool with it.
The people that have the living room view of the freestyle compound, they're sledders and they love it. They're always out there in lawn chairs, chilling, watching. They're all about it. So works out pretty good.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So we've got a fun episode today, but to kick things off, Kyle. So we're humans. We have our attention spans are shrinking like by the day, right? For that person who just stumbled across this video, they're swiping, they see our video thumbnail here. Knowing what we're going to talk about in this episode, what's that thing that you can tell that person, or the reason we can give that person to stop on that thumbnail or that YouTube video and watch this episode?
So I think it'll be awesome to kind of cover like how I got into sledding, a lot of that, getting into sledding, why I ride, a lot of stuff of how I got into it. And then some of my involvement with the OEMs in the industry and how I've been a part of the industry the last few years.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we've got some fun questions, and let's jump right into it. So as far as background goes, what's your earliest? Everyone here has like their earliest memories of snowmobiling and who kind of got them into it. But what's your earliest memory?
Was growing up. I always wanted something with the motor. I was always into it. So I grew up riding BMX bikes everywhere, all over as a kid, And some of my friends started getting dirt bikes and some toys like that were motorized. I'm like, oh, man, that's so fun, because I'd go over and ride them at their house. And always wanted to get one. But Mom wasn't super on board with the dirt bike thing, but she said yes to a snowmobile. And I had been working like crazy in the summer, just like mowing lawns and stuff. I think I was like super young, at that point. My dad worked at a construction company. I'd mow their lawn at the office and stuff. Just stacking up a little bit of money as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
And I found this old phaser on Craigslist for $800 and got the go ahead to get that. So I was ripping all around the hay fields and stuff when I was younger, and my dad started playing on it a little bit, and he ended up buying a phaser as well.
So you brought snowmobiling into your immediate family.
Yeah, so my dad grew up riding, he was from Minnesota here, actually.
Okay.
And he grew up, cruising around the fields and trails, whatever, as a kid, but hadn't rode for a long time until that. So he got the phaser, and then we started going out in the mountains and just evolved from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. So this was in Montana?
Yep. Montana, Northwest.
Northwest.
Yep.
Awesome. How far into your snowmobiling journey, like when did it click that you were like, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. Maybe I should consider doing more of it?
I was hooked right away. So we rode pretty much every weekend for a couple of years there, and then we wanted to get bigger sleds, so I ended up getting a old Skidoo 800, the ZX chassis, the old flip hood and everything. And once I got that, we started getting into some bigger terrain and stuff. I'm like, man, I want to get a newer sled, but I was still super young, couldn't afford it. And I went down the whole rabbit hole of building my own sled. So I took a Skidoo Rev 800, and I stripped the chassis all the way down and kind of figured out what was different between that and newer sleds. And then I ended up building a full tube frame chassis, kind of my own design off of newer sleds. So I raised the geometry, everything up a little bit, so it wasn't so planted. Spent so much time on that, welding it, getting it all set up and everything. And that was like my first really big wake up call to like, man, I want to like do something here. Like, this is awesome. Snowmobiles are so cool.
Yeah.
And really got hooked on the mods like first, just to try to be able to keep up with everyone and the newer sleds and stuff. Before I could afford the newer sled and the newer stuff.
Sure. So roughly, like, how old were you?
I think
when you were pulling apart sleds.
When I first started riding, I was 10. And then I think I really got into like modding them out and trying to like get a better sled going. I think I was like 15 at that time. I was working at a landscape company just up the road in the summertime and building sleds after work and just playing with it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So fast forward a few years to now, I guess we could call it. What do you do outside of snowmobiling that allows you to spend, get as much seat time on the sled during the winter?
So I have a few different companies. My main like bread and butter is electrical work. So I'm an electrician. I have a company with some guys working for me now. I have an apprenticeship going for them, and so basically ripping on electrical work. But I started that company in 2018. I was still working for an electrical contractor at the time, get my license, and grew up doing construction and stuff. So I started general contracting on the side from that. So I'd have subs come in, help with jobs, and did a bunch of remodels and stuff there. Kind of started to learn the business end of that. And then 2 years ago, I went fully out on my own after I was licensed. And it was like half construction work, half electrical work at that time, just building up clientele. And then this last summer, we've been straight electrical work.
Transition back to just electrical.
Yep, got enough clients now, and I'm in with some builders locally that throw a few houses my way every year. And
attaboy.
Yeah, so ripping with the electrical work. And then I've been playing with real estate investments. When I was 19, I bought my first property off Craigslist. I had been watching it pretty heavy, and I got a super good deal on a piece of land. It was like literally 3 hours after he had posted it for sale. I hopped on it, and it turned out my dad actually knew the guy. He was another contractor. So he was down to help me out a bit too, and got that place and built a house. And then a few years later, ended up building a shop and an apartment in it and renting the house out. So long-term that for a bit. And then this last year, I did Airbnb on that.
Yeah.
And then some other construction clients, they're big investors, and got in a deal where the three of us went in to build a trailer park. So I got a trailer park going in town now.
There we go.
Yep. So I'm playing with that. And then I started Ride Fast, which has been more of like a passion for the snowmobile industry. I wanted to try doing I always sell a service, so I wanted to try playing with selling, a part or a hard item,
Yep.
So did a giveaway to come ride with me, and did some apparel the first year. That did awesome. People are super supportive of it. And then this last year, I put out some fitness programs, got some parts from my sponsors on the website, and just playing with it. That's more like a passion project. And
yeah, so you've got your trade, your service, you've got some real estate, you're dabbing into e-commerce now with the website.
Yep.
I like it. You sound similar to me. It's like you get kind of bored just doing the same thing every day. It's nice to kind of have to kind of stimulate the brain with, you know, some online e-commerce stuff, working with your hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Well, the business stuff's just so interesting how it all works, and I don't know. I've had a huge passion for like learning all that, and it's been fun to go down some different avenues with it and help support the sledding habit.
Yeah. And,
So
and one thing I've noticed with you, Kyle, is most, I think, like everything you're doing yourself. Like, I mean, like you're figuring out at least first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you started a podcast. You figured out how to do a podcast. Now
Yep.
you're on e-commerce. You know, you've wrenched on sleds your whole life. I think that's really cool. Like
Heck yeah.
you don't
Well,
just
thanks,
sit
man.
back and you know initially hire someone out to do it. You figure it out on your own first how to do it and
Yep.
get an idea of how it's going to work, and then go from there.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
I like it.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah. So, was Kyle always sending it from the beginning, or like where was the transition from maybe, you know, more recreational riding to transitioning into like, you know, big technical air stuff?
It's just evolved from the beginning. So it's just, I've always had a drive for it. Ever since that first year on the phasers, it's just, this is so cool, you know? And it just keeps progressing from there. I don't know what it is about snowmobiles, but it's just my thing.
Yeah.
I just love them and want to keep pushing on them. And
Yeah. So just a slow, steady
yeah.
transition.
Yep. There's never been anything about snowmobiling that I just haven't been so stoked on, from even like the late night wrenching and, you know, sleds break, but it's cool to like figure it out and be able to get out there the next day, and
Yeah.
just everything about it. It's just, I'm hooked on it, and just definitely my full passion in the industry. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Who was there anyone as you were growing up that you kind of looked up to as far as you know, to get inspiration or you know, just looking up to as a role model? Or
For sure. I think a lot of I had sled necks on repeat from the
Right.
beginning. So those videos have worn out, you know?
Yeah.
But a couple of people that really stand out from that group was Turcotte for his freestyle stuff. Always thought the freestyle was so cool because it's, you know, there's a lot to it. A lot of like practice that goes into being able to do tricks, especially in the backcountry where it's not a set ramp. It's, you know, every hit's a little bit different. To be able to pull off some of the maneuvers he does is just incredible. So I've always thought Turcotte was super cool to watch with freestyle.
yeah. Well, you were probably somewhat young when you first. So Turcotte was what in? Was it Sled Next 11?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah. Like how? I mean, you would have been pretty young, right?
Yeah.
And now
Oh,
you're
yeah.
now you're like doing freestyle at shows with him.
Yeah,
What's
it's
that
unreal.
like?
It's unreal, man.
Little Kyle is now, you know.
It just doesn't seem real some days. You know, it's like, man, what an opportunity I've been given. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But, and then for the technical riding, I've always thought Brant's been pretty fun to watch. You know,
Yeah.
he's always been pushing the technical and still is, and it's so cool to see what is possible on snowmobile.
Yeah. So as far as technicality goes, and the steady progression, is there some sort of maneuver or you know, technical aspect of your riding game that you're specifically working on this year to improve?
I really want to get freestyle tricks in the backcountry.
In the backcountry.
Yeah. So I've dabbled with it the last few years. Got, you know, a few little things, but never a full blown like freestyle sesh off a backcountry jump.
Yeah.
So I really want to get some grabs or something cool this year in the backcountry and start progressing that a little bit. But I think riding during the summer at my house is really going to help with that, because it's not like you take all summer off from a snowmobile. I'm able to ride year round now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that
able
is
to,
nice.
Yeah, being able to be in the air and be like used to that for the full season. I think that's going to be a game changer as far as progressing the jumping and the freestyle stuff.
Yeah, you also you get some work in at the Flagner Fell.
Yep. So I got in with them a couple of years ago. They're local in the valley where I'm at, and
They set up a track outside their shop, right?
those guys got all kinds of stuff going. They just built a full-on drift course that they paved.
Wow.
So they're drifting cars and stuff there now. They set up a little pit bike track this summer, and then allowed me to set up a freestyle setup for dirt bikes there. So I've been dabbling with the dirt bike ramping stuff this summer, and learning a lot on that. Built a ramp this spring, and Tyler from Octane Addictions helped me out, loaning me a bag for the summer. The bike's just a little bit loud for the neighborhood where I'm at, so that's why
you gotta go away from. You want to have good neighbors, right? You want to be a good neighbor.
Yeah, 100%, and ultimately not get the snowmobiling shut down there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, awesome. How did you get connected with those guys?
So Rob,
initially with Rob, yeah,
he's the owner of Flagner Fail, Rob Bailey, and I got in with them. He started CCV, which is like a entrepreneurship mentoring course. So I did his first year of that. Kind of got in with him a bit there. We clicked, and then we've kind of stayed in contact throughout because he thinks the snowmobiling stuff's rad too.
Yeah,
he watches that stuff, and then I approached him this spring about setting up a dirt bike setup there, and he was all about it. So.
Yeah. Does he get out on a snowmobile much?
He has one. I think he gets out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, you got to get him out there on some backcountry sessions.
I know. That'd be sick.
Yeah, that would be cool. Awesome. Let's talk some OEM and just some of the professional industry type stuff, right? So you started off with you were on an Arctic Cat.
Yep.
I think when I first got to know you, you were throwing an Arctic Cat around, and you've been throwing an Arctic Cat around for how many years? A long time.
Yeah, I think I was on Cat for almost 5 years.
6
years? Yeah. Because I kind of bounced between Skidoo and Polaris in the beginning, just older sleds,
Yeah.
And then I rode a buddy in Eureka, Kyle West. He had an old Cat that I hopped on, and I was like, man, this thing's sick. So I found it was actually a 925 Big Bore, 2014. It was pretty hammered out, but I ended up buying that and rode that for the rest of a season, and I was like, man, I think I'm gonna get a fresh Cat. This thing's sick.
Yeah.
So picked up a hardcore. That was in 19, their first year of that, and I think that was when I really started to progress my riding. That was the first year I did a backflip.
Yeah.
That was when my social media started to kind of kick off. I started posting more consistent, posting like a lot more of the process, a lot of the crashes, a lot of the successful jumps.
Yeah. Hey guys and gals, if you love the show and want to support us, head on over to deviantinc.com. Use the code SledderCast, save some money on your next premium custom wrap. If you've spent any time on deviantinc.com, you already know it is the best, easiest custom wrap builder tool out there. With its new interactive design tools, makes designing and customizing wraps super slick. We're big fans of the new color mixer tool. It randomizes colors until you land on the perfect combo. A design mixer tool is a game changer when you already know what colors you want and you want to see all of our designs in just your pre-selected colors. So head on over to deviantinc.com, use the code SledderCast, save some money on your next wrap purchase. Let's get back to the show. I think that was the first year that we started working with you. When we picked up Deviant Inc., you were like, I'd seen you all over like my feed, and I knew you were like, you were like local somewhat, just up in Montana. We're down in Idaho, and you were like one of our first like big athletes.
Yeah, that's cool. That was a good year. Spent I think 47 days in Revelstoke that season.
Wow.
And then since I spent so much time up there, I was able to link up with a lot of the bigger athletes and progress you can progress your riding a lot when you're riding with people that are way above your level.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that year was a big pivotal year for growth, and that was the year I got in contact with Arctic Cat. They started their Black Cats program, and then they took a couple years off from it.
Yep.
And in that couple years off was when I got in contact with the race department. So they helped me out a bit with parts that season and stuff. And then the following season, they kicked off their Black Cats team.
Okay.
And they approached me to come on as an athlete for that. So rode for Arctic Cat, Black Cats team for 2 seasons. And then towards the end of the second season, I was starting to get some more interest in Polaris. So I ended up leaving the Black Cats team that season on my own behalf. I wanted to try out Polaris, and got the in with Polaris and been riding with them the last 2 seasons.
Nice.
Yeah.
And from a recent post that I saw on Instagram, it sounds like you kind of have a little bit of freedom this year I don't know if freedom is the right word, more wiggle room as far as what you do with your OEM or with your snowmobiling. Not tied in with Polaris this season.
Nope. So I'm independent this year.
Independent, that's the word I'm looking for right there.
Yep. I'm still going to be riding Polaris this year. I ended up crashing a 25 on a content day last year. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the big whip that I did. We went out.
Was it the one where the engine went out or the power went out? Was it that one?
Yep.
That was the crash?
No,
or was it
I
a different one?
I didn't break anything on that one, but the successful one, I came down and broke the back part of the running board support. And then later on in that day, snow was pretty skimpy in an area, and I jumped off a cornice and then landed in a pretty much dirt spot. And bent an A-arm and a shock. So messed up the sled a little bit. They weren't super stoked with that. I offered to stay and fix it and get it ready for the next day, but they didn't have parts available for it. So there's a little bit of conflict there. They weren't super stoked on that. And I think with kind of the budgets this year, they terminated my contract at the end of the season because of that incident. But no hard feelings, you know, I get it. The snowmobile industry, they didn't have a ton of snow checks this year. Not a ton of money rolling around right now. So I think they're just trying to cut back a little bit, and because that incident.
Yeah, cut back, wait for a rebound.
Yeah, so, but they want to stay in contact, and there's no hard feelings or anything. But kind of see how the season goes, and hopefully there's more opportunity in the future with them.
Yeah.
Because they've been awesome to work with, and I appreciate everything they've done for me so far. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Does anything change with your program? Like, someone who hasn't ever had like an OEM contract, do you go about your season any differently now?
I'm just keeping my options open. I want to spend a little bit of time on the Catalyst this year.
Yeah.
Kind of see what that's about. I've only spent like 15 minutes on one of the 600 like original ones.
Yep.
So definitely gives me a little bit of opportunity to ride some other sleds and get a bigger perspective of what's out there now and get some seat time on other OEMs, see what they're all about.
Yeah.
But sticking with I got a 9R and a boost coming still for the season.
There you go.
Yep. So those will be my main sleds, but just opens up my options to try some other units out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably a little bit more freedom in what you can post as far as content goes.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. So if I wanted to like get out on a cat for a day and post some clips on the cat,
you can do that now.
I can do that now. Yeah. Heck yeah.
That's cool. As far as, balancing, being a professional snowmobiling, backcountry athlete and creating content, like how do you go about balancing that? Because you do pump out a lot of content.
Yeah. Yep.
And I would say it's pretty rare kind of, to find someone who can do both very well. We see a lot of it in like the hill climb space. You see a lot of hill climbers who are awesome at what they do. And that's just what they focus on. They don't really focus on, creating a lot of content outside of, the races. But you're all like, you got great content. You're always pumping new stuff out. How do you balance?
I think
that?
a lot of it comes from like the business stuff. So
your brain is like thinking like, hey, if I'm out here, I'm either just seeing it by myself or my buddies, or I can extend that reach if I'm planning ahead. And
100%. So to be able to ride as much as I do, it's nice to have support from companies that want to back what you're doing. But as a business perspective, it's got to make sense for the companies that support you, which the best way to support people who support you in this industry is content, because there's no backcountry contests. There's no like X Games or anything for backcountry. It's strictly social media and word of mouth through to help companies like yourself out, SledWraps and all the companies that help me out. So I look at it kind of as that as, I'm helping you guys out by helping promote product, promoting myself to get more reach. It's just a value transfer. And like with electrical work, let's say, like on the job, doing the work, that's the easy part. That's the fun part. Just like riding in the backcountry, that's the fun part. That's what we do it for, what we love. But then there's the office work that comes with electrical, or the content work that comes with the sledding. It's just goes hand in hand. It's just something you got to do, and I've kind of grown to enjoy it. You know, I don't ride for the social media. I ride for myself, and I ride because that's what I love to do. But it's just something that I can do to help myself ride more and help companies that support me.
Yep.
So,
yeah, no, I love that frame of mind. You know, we've had instances in the past where we've worked with other organizations or companies, and it's like there's a lot of nickel and diming. Like, hey, you know, if you want this, you know, you're gonna have to do this now. And I always come from the perspective of there's a time and place, you know, where, you know, there's probably a fee that is warranted, you know, but there's also a lot of opportunity where just like you're already there, like just create the content, and you never know like who's going to pick it up or how far that reach is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe we go, you know, the company takes that piece of content and they run with it, and they go drop, you know, hundreds, thousands of dollars in ad budget on that piece of content. It extends your reach, right, as the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, all you had to do was just kind of have a little bit more open of a mind and think, hey, how could I make this thing valuable for, you know, the businesses that I'm working
100%.
with.
Yeah.
Takes it's kind of annoying because it does like add like more brain power that you got to think about when you're going out to ride, instead of like, I'm just going to go ride, you know?
Mm-hmm. But you can look at it too as I'm getting content, and I get to look back on this in 20 years and be like, man, look at this crazy stuff I did back in the day. And as far as just, you know, that perspective of it too, it's cool.
Yeah, cool. All right. So Kyle, we're going to talk some fitness. And I've got a couple questions around your fitness in general. I think for most people who are just maybe new to following you, like this is you, I feel like I'm remembering you differently though. When you first started out, I don't think you always looked like this. Like,
no.
like you've put the work in and made a little bit of a transition
100%.
in yourself.
Yeah.
So, like, walk us through what, you know, the backstory there, and kind of what worked for you, and some of those levers that you pulled that made the biggest difference in the transformation of your body.
For sure. So, like, when I first started riding, I was definitely not in shape, did not take fitness seriously at all. I just wanted to ride, and that was the extent of it. Go work during the summer to make some money to ride during the winter. But, you know, fitness has been a huge, like, thing that has affected my riding. So, like, my first year that I really took fitness seriously, I think that year I was able to ride way harder, and I progressed way faster. Mm-hmm. Just being able to ride longer during the day and not get worn out. Yeah. Be able to crash harder and not like injure myself as much. I think there's just a lot of aspects of fitness that you don't realize that play a huge role in snowmobiling, just because it's a lot of work to throw a snowmobile around all day. And I don't know, it's just a lot of work riding, you know. It's definitely takes a lot of fitness to do, and I think the better shape you are, the better you can ride, the longer you can ride, the more crashes you can take and not get hurt from.
Yeah. What are some of the changes that you made? Like lifestyle changes, I guess.
Just eating healthier, and then trying to lift consistently through the summer. Yeah. When I first started getting into lifting, I'd like, sledding's coming, I need to jam out some workouts this next month before season, and then kind of transitioned into just staying active year round, you know, hitting the weights, staying good on cardio, just getting after it a bit more. And it's played a huge role in my riding for sure. Yeah.
And so with the Ride Fast company, with your e-commerce, you've got online training?
Yep. So it's
basically for fitness?
Yeah. So I got two One's kind of like a pre-season, so it goes over a lot of aspects of like flexibility, cardio, and strength, because those are the three aspects I think that play the biggest role on sledding. You know,
So you said those three things were cardio,
yep,
flexibility, strength.
yep.
Those three. Okay.
Sleds are heavy. You got to have some muscle on you. You know, throw them around all day.
Yep.
Cardio, you know, you pull a big line, you're winded by the end of it. So like, the better shape you are in, you know, cardiovascularly, the better you are as far as riding longer lines.
Able to you know, do multiple hits, you know, consecutively,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And then flexibility, like, you're bound to take a crash here and there.
Yep.
And the more flexible you are and the better shape you're in, the better you're going to come out from a crash.
Yeah. So when you say flexibility, it reminds me of a moment actually right there. Last year we had Levi Green on, and he was talking about you. He said, what did he say about flexibility in you? He said something about he was in the gym with you one day or something, and you were talking to him about flexibility, and he said something where it's like, hey, you said something where it's like, hey, it's how far you can put your head behind your back before you brake or something. That's the type of flexibility level that we got to get here. You know, if we want to be pulling, you know, tricks all day on a snowmobile. So that stuck with me for some reason, but
That's awesome. Yep, you crash and get tumbled down the hill. If you can put your feet behind your head or whatever,
yeah,
you're more likely to not come out injured than if you can't even touch your toes. And
yep.
Yeah. So as far as your program goes, is it like an online, a digital course?
Yep. So you get the whole course laid out, what to do each day, and then I linked a YouTube video to every lift, so you can go in there and, like, if you don't know what a certain lift is, you can click on it and see how it's done. But it's all laid out.
And is it you doing the training? Okay.
Yep. So it's me, and then I do emails through it. So check in through the whole process, and if you got any questions, or just here to help throughout all of it. So.
And can anyone start it at any time, or is it?
Yep. I have a preseason one, which is kind of like getting you in the groove for the season, and then I have a sustainability one to help keep your fitness through the summer. Kind of some not quite as intense lifts and stuff, but just to keep it going. And it's more directed towards a lot of sledders. They work a lot in the summer and a little bit less in the winter, so it's kind of directed towards a busy summer schedule.
Okay.
Yep. Just keep after it.
With your preseason training course, how long is start to finish?
You can keep doing it, but it's a 4-week program.
Okay.
Yep.
4-week program.
4-week, and I recommend doing a couple months of it before season.
Start a few cycles out before the season starts.
Yep. Yeah. And work your way into it. There's a lot of stuff that you can in there that you can go all out in, or you can kind of just start dabbling with it and work your way into it.
Yeah.
So, but it's laid out the stuff that I recommend that's going to be most beneficial to building your body for sledding.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool. So what's the cost to it? Is it like a monthly fee? Is it a one-time fee?
One-time fee, and you get the program. You can use as much as you want. And if anyone's interested, I'm doing a discount on it. We'll call it the code SledderCast.
SledderCast. There we go.
So if anyone wants to hop on that program, we'll do a discount for you and get you set up.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Now, with snowmobiling specific training, like let's just say, hey, I want to make sure that if I am going to the gym, I know I'm going to spend a lot of time snowmobiling, this season. If there are a few cheat codes, some Kyle Saxton cheat codes here, as far as, hey, just, give me a couple things that are going to pay the biggest dividends for me in my mobility and strength with specifically to snowmobiling. What are a couple of those, cheat code lever, whatever you want to call them, that I would want to focus on?
Biggest thing, wake up and spend 10, 15 minutes stretching every day.
Oh.
Start your
Hot
day with
take
stretching.
right there. Get that stretching in.
Yep. That's, like, if you do anything, I'd say just start with stretching. Get yourself, moving, get flexible. Helps a lot. And then if you don't want to dive into, like, a whole program, just start throwing some weights around, Focus on your legs, focus on upper body. and a lot on the core too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Kyle, we're making good time. You've got to go pick up the lady friend, right,
Yep.
from the airport.
Yep, she's flying in, gonna come hang out for the weekend, support me riding, and
Nice.
heck yeah.
Does Kyla like hanging out at Heydays?
Yeah. Yep.
She's a shredder herself.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, she
We
shreds.
see her. Yeah.
So she raced actually dirt bikes for 12 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's
I
got
didn't
a
know
big
that.
big moto background, and then yeah, got into sledding I think 5 years ago or so, and I think a lot of the motor skills transfer because she's picked up on it really
yeah.
fast, and she got out with her brother a lot in the beginning, and he helped her grow a lot as a rider. And then when we got together, you know, she's ride with me most every weekend, so
Yeah.
getting lots of seat time and in with a lot of good groups. So she's grown as a rider immensely the last few years.
Oh yeah. I mean, it goes back to like that law or that rule where you're technically you can consider yourself the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with,
Yeah,
right? So
100%.
if your crew is the 5 people that she's riding with, like her skill set is gonna just drastically.
And everyone's been so supportive too, like with getting her out there. And you know, it's intimidating a lot of the stuff that we ride, and you know, everyone's so supportive of her getting through it and learning. And it's been cool to have all the support from friends in the group too that want to see her shred. So
That's awesome.
yeah, yep, pretty cool.
Good. Okay, so we're at the lightning round. So we ask the same 2 questions to end every episode. The first question is: you have a brand new sled, so you've got a 9R and a boost coming. So
Yep.
let's pick one. Which one do you want to roll with?
9R is gonna be my main one.
Okay, so we'll go with 9R.
Yep.
What are the 3? If you only get 3 aftermarket modifications that you can make to this unit, what are the 3 that you're going to do? And SledWrap does not count. So, because we know that would be like the first one, but
Gotta make them look cool.
you gotta make them look cool before you do anything else, right?
Heck yeah.
All right. But yeah. So what would those 3 be?
Probably first thing I'd do is CFR bars. I've been running them for 8-10 years now, long time. But they're just a comfy cockpit. They're
Yep.
stronger, better bend. Just love everything about the bars. You know, you can get it set up to your height perfectly. So that'd be my first thing I'd do to a sled, CFR bar setup. Next is probably backwoods bumpers. I'm kind of hard on equipment, so having some extra.
Just a little.
Yeah, so having a little
But
extra.
you can fix your own. You can fix your own problems. So
You can fix it, but if you can avoid fixing it less,
Yep.
that's always better. So
Yep.
I'd say get some backwoods bumpers on there, add a little protection. And then the next thing I'd say is suspension. That's been a big thing the last couple of years that I've been working on. I got partnered up with Suspension Pros, and we've been working on a valving kit for the stock shocks.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So those are feeling pretty dialed. I've ran quite a few aftermarket companies' shocks, but honestly, I'm just running valve stock shocks
Yeah.
anymore through Suspension Pros. I really like the valving package we came up with. We put a little heavier duty springs on them, upgrade the insides of them, and yeah, they're feeling really good. And I think that plays a big role on your riding too, is having suspension that's
Yeah.
set up for you and your riding style and your weight.
Awesome.
So those would be my top
Love
3.
it. So your top 3. Let's just do a quick recap. We have the cockpit. Get your handlebars set
Yep.
up. We've got some protection with the bumpers through backwoods, and then Suspension Pros, getting the suspension dialed.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Love it. So what's fun is we do a full season, and it's always fun to look back. We do a recap post of like what the top 5 most recommended aftermarket parts are
that's
from
cool.
everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone that was on. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And last season, getting your cockpit dialed in, the handlebar setup was the number 1. So.
Well, flip-flop question. What's your top 3?
That's a great question. So I don't do a lot of modification to my machine because I'm not like you. I can't fix my own crap very well. If it breaks, I'm in big trouble. So that's a skill set that I wish I would have picked up on much earlier in life. I think it's just a good, like how to brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. You should be able. I feel like you should know how to do some of that stuff, which is unfortunate. But I always like to lighten it up, right? So we'll pull the suitcase out, put a can in, like a little bit of a snappier sound, but not too loud, right? Just a little bit more aggressive sound. And I'm on a 9R as well.
Nice. Good choice.
Yep. And so we'll do the lighten it up. Never done handlebars.
You'll have to try them sometime.
So that might be like on my list as like a want or a wish. But for sure bumpers.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not like too crazy in the backcountry, but my biggest like selling point was last year with bumpers. I watched Travis Alley just nuke a rock. Like it was like everyone on the hill like turned their head to see what just happened. Tahoe sled head just nukes a rock, and we're like deep. We were at the Out West Sled Fest in Island Park, and we thought we're done. Like bumper saved him, dude. Like
That's
the bumper was
awesome.
trash. Throw the bumper away. He was able to ride out like fine, right? So, yeah. Ever since then, you know, and I mean, it's pretty obvious, but for me, it was like, man, like that. This could have been a really bad deal, you know?
Wipe out your pipe.
Yeah.
Not be able to ride it out.
Yep.
And then that turns into a real long day.
Oh, it's long. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So yeah, that kind of cemented it for me. So, we like to cook. So if I were to throw another one on there, it'd be a hot pot.
Can't beat those.
Kind of a luxury,
A
luxury
warm-
item out there. But
A warm meal in the backcountry is a force to be reckoned with.
yeah, yeah. So, but the last question I have for you, Kyle, in the lightning round is, what is one thing that those who are listening to the podcast today don't know about you? Like, what's that secret or that interesting factoid that you know, we're gonna let it out here on the podcast.
I thought about that one a lot. I kind of share a lot of what I do on social media, but I don't think a lot of people know that I'm an only child.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
just
didn't
me.
know that.
Just me.
It is just old Kyle.
Yep.
So
Yep.
how has that been? Have you? I mean, you don't know anything different, but
I don't know anything different, but I feel like I was raised in a way that it wasn't all about me. You know, I was raised right with that. A lot of only childs, get kind of, I don't know the best way to put it, but life evolves around them because
Yeah.
they're the only one. There's
For
not
sure.
other siblings to, take care of or whatever. I was raised to work for it, So
Yeah.
I think that played a big role on coming out good. But
yeah,
yeah, as far as that though, parents have always been super supportive. But it was good growing up.
yeah,
My old man's kind of a wild man himself. He's retired now, and he's in his 20s. He bought a sailboat and sailed around the world with it.
no way.
Yep, he did like 42,000 miles because he zigzagged all around the world. And then growing up, he's had this boat and he's been restoring it for, I think he spent like 12 years on it. Gutted the whole thing out. Some of the straps that run down the hull were rusted because they went stainless, and then once they got into the fiberglass, went to metal.
Yep.
They expanded, so he cut these big holes in the side of the boat, refiberglassed it all,
Wow.
redid all the woodwork in it. Totally restored this, but 4 years now ago he retired and hit the ocean again in it.
He set sail.
Went over to New Zealand, hit a bunch of islands over there. I actually flew out to New Zealand, seen him for a couple weeks. That was a pretty cool experience.
Oh, wow.
Sailed with him for a little bit.
So is he out on the water now?
He's back in Port Angeles, Washington right
Okay.
now. He sailed back, and then last summer he cruised up the coast all the way up to Alaska from there. And then this year he did a bunch of maintenance, and he's been riding his pedal bike a bunch in Port Angeles, working on the boat. And then next year he's going to head out to Hawaii, and not sure where from there.
So
But-
just when you say head out, he's just gonna set sail and point the direction to the
Yep.
Hawaiian Islands.
He can do about 100 miles a day on the ocean. So
Really?
it's about 2,800 miles, I think, from Port Angeles to Hawaii. So it's about a month sail out there.
What an interesting life.
So I think
right?
that's a big thing that people don't know is I got
That
some
is a
adventurous
big thing.
parents.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's where it comes from, right
Yep.
there.
My mom was a traveling nurse. She traveled all over nursing. That's how actually she met my dad. Was sailing. She was in, I think it actually was Hawaii. She was at, and he came into there, years ago, and met her, and she ended up sailing with him for a while. And then she's done a bunch of bike tours. She biked all across Alaska, bunch in the States.
Wow.
Kind of adventurous parent. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's where it comes from. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good fact that no one knows about me is kind of like my parents, and it's just me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, cool. All right. Well, Kyle, we appreciate you taking the time. We've tried to make this happen a few times in the last year or so since we started the podcast. We thought maybe we'd come up to your neck of the woods and do something, but glad we were able to finally make it.
Yeah, I'm
connect
pumped we finally-
here, and
yeah.
now you get to go. Your work starts here in a little bit.
Yep.
But we'll be seeing you, flying over these trailers here and later
Heck
on
yeah.
today. So.
Well, I'm glad we got to get it done. And
Yeah.
It was great talking to you. And heck yeah, man.
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Heck yeah.